The global troop resource, trying to put 1,000 skills into every troop's backpack.
Good evening. I'm David Dragulbus from 512. And tonight we're talking about the Bowline. The Bowline is the king of knots. That's a big title for any knot to have. Whew, tremendous weight. And what makes the Bowline the king of knots? The three qualities of a knot are: it is easy to tie, easy to untie, and never slips. The Bowline meets the three expectations. So what is the Bowline used for? It is the ideal loop knot. So we're going to learn it in more than one way. We're going to learn it around our own body, because if you have to save yourself and somebody throws a rope to you, or a line to you as we call it, and says, tie it around your waist, you want to know the Bowline. The Bowline is the ideal knot, and you want to know what not to tie, and we're going to talk about that. The catchy phrase is: the rabbit comes out of the hole, goes behind the tree, and back into the hole. So we remember the Bowline by that little story, and we're going to see it in action. To tie the Bowline, you need to know a couple of things. One, this is a bight. A bight looks like a hairpin. The rope doesn't cross. This is a loop. The loops can be an overhand loop, which is a right-handed overhand loop. I'm using my right hand, so overhand loop, or an underhand loop. For the first type of Bowline is we're going to be tying it around your own body. I want the standing rope to come in from your left side, under your arm, and come out with the working end in your right hand. So you're going to hang the working end there. Going to take your right hand, put it on top. I'm working between my left hand and my body. And I make a right-handed overhand loop. You see the loop? Now in slow motion, I'm going to bring my left hand and hold that loop. Now I take the rabbit. The rabbit comes out of the hole, goes behind the tree, and back into the hole. I'm going to hold the rabbit against itself and pull on the tree. So this is a Bowline. In order to untie the Bowline, we said the second quality of this knot was that it unties easy. So I'm going to pull it as hard as I can to make it real tight. And yet, even having pulled it real tight, I flip it upside down, push down on the rabbit as it went around the tree, and the knot comes right off. Is that true of all? I've seen big ships that have 25, 30 tons of pressure on a knot. And the stevedore comes with a stick, does a couple of whacks, and that rabbit comes right off and it unties. Let's do it one more time. So I have the rabbit in my right hand. I put the right hand over the rope and flip it. Notice that this time the rabbit is already out of the hole. Okay, so we've skipped one step. So the rabbit out of the hole goes behind the tree, goes back into the hole, pull on the tree, and this is the Bowline. To untie it, you flip it upside down, push down on the rabbit, and it'll come right out of the hole. Let me show you what you do not do if they drop you a line and say tie it around your waist. What you never do is you don't want to tie a square knot. If you do right over left, left over right, what happens when you pull both sides of a square knot? It collapses into a slip knot, and it's going to start tightening on your ribs. So what does a person do? He immediately puts both thumbs into his line because it's crushing his ribs, and he's going to end up with 2 fractured thumbs and 2 collapsed ribs. So you never put a square knot around your waist when you're going to be saved with this. All right? So we're going to see the running bowline. The running bowline is a bowline that is tied, including a line like we have here on my left hand. And if you wanted to tie your dog or a horse or anything that is able to walk back and forth, so he's not captive around a tree or a bush or whatever. So he wants to be able to walk along this line. So it's important to remember which is a rabbit and which is your loop. You have a right hand overhand loop, you go around the rope, and now the rabbit comes out of the hole, goes behind the tree, back into the hole, hold the rabbit against itself, pull on the tree. And you have your loop that is around the running rope, and that way if your animal was tied to a rope where he can wander up and down the length of this rope.
The Global Troop Resource, trying to put 1,000 skills into every troop's backpack.